Welcome back to another Star Mini Gaming YouTube video. We are continuing in our Rebel Tactics video week, and in this video we are focusing on the Y-Wing and B-Wing fighter bombers. We'll discuss a little bit about each. We'll focus more on the Y-Wing than the B-Wing because in my own personal preference of how I like to run my lists, the Y-Wing actually is a little bit more competitive for what I like, although some people are pretty big fans of the B-Wing. But we'll cover that in a bit. Just a little bit of background about the ships. The Y-Wing was the original fighter bomber for the Rebel Alliance, and the B-Wing was developed to be its successor, which, according to the fluff, it was pretty successful in that role. The only time that we actually see the B-Wing in the movies is in episode 6, just briefly, but the Y-Wing does appear in the entire original trilogy. So, in-game, the Y-Wing is not particularly impressive in terms of its attack and evasion dice. It's a 2 attack and 1 evasion die starting, so it's not particularly powerful, nor good at dodging, but it does have 5 hull and 3 shields, with the ability to take an astromech and 2 torpedo upgrades in addition to a turret. And there are a few elite pilots, but for myself, the only one I ever like to take is a Gold Squadron pilot, which is the pilot skill of 2 at 18 point standard. Because to truly make the Y-Wing offensively powerful, you really have to buy 2 torpedo upgrades to give it a lot of punch. So I don't even attempt to do so. To keep it cheap enough, I like to make it a good, sturdy support ship that can do other things well other than dish out damage. So I give it FLECHETTE torpedoes and an ion cannon turret, which is 7 points of upgrades, which is a bit steep, and it brings the total to 25 points, but it allows the Y-Wing to, at ranges 2 to 3, hand out stress to my opponents with the FLECHETTE torpedoes, and if I choose to spend 1 more point and give it munitions failsafe, that just means that there's an additional chance, if the FLECHETTE torpedoes actually don't hit, to hand out even more stress, because it doesn't require you to actually hit the target for the stress token to be taken. You just have to shoot at them. And then the ion cannon turret at range 1 to 2 allows it to ionize smaller ships in the single shot, forcing them to go at speed 1 for the next turn, or larger ships it takes 2 shots. But it allows the Y-Wing to actually fulfill a good role without becoming super points heavy, and that's what I like about it. So I'm going to try to run the Y-Wing a little bit more often because it was my favorite ship growing up from the original trilogy, and I still like the design of it more than most of the other Rebel ships. And the successor to that ship, the B-Wing, in game is a bit more powerful. It has the 3 attack base with only 1 agility die as well, and then it has its hull and shield inverted to what is, in my opinion, more useful, the 3 hull to 5 shield, simply because shields demote critical hits to regular hits, and critical hits in the game, while they only happen per die 12.5% of the time, whenever you're rolling multiple dice, it's really not that uncommon. The statistics start to add up, and it becomes more and more likely, obviously, especially as the game goes on. So the shields, as opposed to the hull, is a pretty big deal. They're pretty pricey. The cheapest one you can get is a Blue Squadron at 22 points. And because they're so expensive and lack any real maneuverability, I'm not a big fan of them. I know a lot of people like to run the Blue Squadron pilots, just standard, no upgrades, to kind of give heavier firepower ships that have a good amount of survivability to their list. The other option that's kind of in that same point realm is the rookie X-wing pilot for 1 point less, and that X-wing does have one more agility die, but it has the same amount of attack dice and the same amount of hull, but the B-wing has 3 points more of shield. So strictly from taking hits perspective, the B-wing is a much better deal in that way. But for how I play and how I see most people play, the maneuverability is such a big drawback. You're not able to get out of opponents' firing arcs. If they get behind you, the B-wing's just in trouble. So, and because they're stronger, they're going to typically take a bit more of the enemy's focus than a Y-wing, which is the reason I prefer the Y-wings. But if I am going to field a B-wing, which is rare, the only one I ever take, to be honest, is Kian Farlander, who has the special ability, when attacking, you may remove one stress token to change all of your focus results to hit results, which isn't bad. It's basically a offensive focus token, which is good because stress normally is an inhibitor in the game, but Kian obviously takes that negative and turns it into a positive. So whenever I run him, I like to equip him with push the limit, because that way, if you do push the limit every single turn, then you're getting those free offensive focus through the stress that you're generating, and you're taking 2 actions each turn. So they can be whatever you need: barrel roll, target lock, or focus to keep for defensive purposes as well, which isn't a bad idea. I like to also equip him with an ion cannon and a flechette torpedo as well, because that way he basically can fill the same role as the Y-wing for a bit more points, but he also has a bit more offensive firepower just with his standard attack, and obviously his pilot special boosts that even further. So again, he is a bit steeper. You're looking at a grand total of 37 points for how I'm running him, as opposed to the Y-wing's 25, so 12-point difference. But if you're set on running a B-wing, this at least allows him, without completely breaking the bank in terms of your army's entire points value, it allows him to fulfill multiple roles, which to me is the only way that bringing something like a Y-wing or a B-wing is ever worth it, is to have that ship able to fulfill the multiple roles that your army may or may need them to do, while you get things like an X-wing or an E-wing to be more of your, or even a larger ship like Dash's Outrider or the Millennium Falcon to be more of your primary attacker that just solely focuses on dishing out damage. So that's going to be it for these two. Like I said, it's a little bit shorter video. I'm not as much of a fan of these two particular ships. But in the next video, we're going to cover the Z95 Headhunter and the Hawk 290, specifically the Moldy Crow upgrade with Kyle Katarn, who is, like Corrin, one of my favorites. So stay tuned and happy gaming.